It's going to be a presidential inauguration like no other. Drama and some traditions, of course, but there'll also be the tightest security in living memory. The pandemic and the January 6th storming of the Capitol have changed everything. Washington is on virtual lockdown, even as the preparations are underway. US flags are being placed in the National Mall, where visitors would normally stand. They represent the thousands of Americans who have lost their lives to COVID-19. 200 officers from the New York City Police Department are to assist with security. The authorities are determined to prevent a repeat of the violence seen at the Capitol. New video released by The New Yorker shows Trump supporters inside the seat of US democracy. At one point, intruders are seen rifling desks of lawmakers and photographing documents. More than 25,000 National Guard troops will be the backbone of the security deployment. Again, taking no chances, they've all been vetted by the FBI after concerns were raised about an internal threat. All 50 states are also on alert for possible violent protests. And what of the outgoing president? Donald Trump and his wife Melania are defying tradition, refusing to attend the ceremony of his successor, possibly concentrating on moving house to Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. Hermione G, Euronews.
Things in D.C. are relatively quiet, as you would imagine, as they are preparing for Inauguration Day. But downtown, it seems that they have it on lock, meaning there are barricades set up around the perimeter of where the festivities would normally be held, and they go on beyond that, all the way up to around places like Union Station, where travelers come in and where they usually have free, unfettered access to walk straight to the Capitol. Well, that is no longer, as there are barricades set up with barbed wire on top. There are checkpoints around this perimeter. Not only that, it seems that even those who are protecting the city are being looked at and being vetted by the FBI in case of an insider attack. And with 25,000 National Guard troops expected on Wednesday, well, there's a lot of work that goes on into that. Now, there isn't going to be an in-depth background check for each individual that is there, but at least a cursory one to try to prevent anything that was unexpected. And of course, a lot of visitors who would normally come downtown, well, they're just going to stay home, or if anything, they're only coming to the northern or extreme parts of the city, definitely not downtown because it's so restricted.
Many arrests are being made around about now over the Capitol riots. Is that beginning to paint a bit of a clearer picture about what motivated them and also how they were organised?
Yeah, every day there seems to be more evidence and more reasoning as to how this was carried out, who was responsible, and what the aims and objectives were of the rioters that marauded the U.S. Capitol. Now, we have two Capitol Hill police officers that have already been suspended, one of whom was taking selfies with some of the rioters. And then there are about 10 more that are under investigation. But what U.S. intelligence is looking at is a very complex network of some retired military officials, some police officers, others who served in another type of public official capacity, and how they may have been exchanging information through the internet to try to carry out a nefarious plot, especially when you see that some of the people who are arrested, that the Capitol Hill police arrested and that some who will now be going to court were wearing these flexi cuffs or zip ties that would be used to handcuff people. Of course, the question is, well, what would happen if the target of whomever they were seeking out were caught? Would they arrest them? Would they try to bring them to some type of mock trial? And I think these are the details that U.S. officials are looking at, and especially those who were already on the inside, who might have already been among the ranks of police officers or military officials who were complacent or complicit in the way that these rioters were allowed access into Capitol Hill, and of course, looking at very sensitive areas where at least one person has been accused of trying to take information from House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's office and possibly selling it to the Russians. Now, she was arrested, but these are some of the plots that U.S. intelligence officials are trying to look at and trying to resolve.
Going to be mostly white collar criminals. I mean, what we've seen is that Trump has, actually in a Harvard study, 88% of his past pardons were of people that were either personally connected to him in some way or loyal to him. And so he's very transactional. We're hearing rumors that people are actually buying these pardons, that they're going for millions of dollars. So I think it's going to be a list of white collar criminals that are connected to him or that could serve some sort of interest to him, either because they're paying him or because he wants to delegitimize the Russia Mueller investigation. I don't think it's likely we're going to see him pardoning himself. There's been a lot of talk about that. Will he pardon himself? Will he pardon Ivanka and Donald and Eric? Will he pardon Steve Bannon and Rudy Giuliani? And it's looking less likely that that's going to be the case. There's been advice that he should not pardon himself and close family members because that's going to make him look guilty. And the other issue is even if he pardons himself and family members of federal crimes, he still has these state level crimes, whether it be the district attorney of New York who's going after him or the state attorney general in New York that's going after him for bank fraud, for tax fraud. So he's not immune to state level charges, and he's going to face a lot of legal challenges up ahead.
How are presidential pardons supposed to be used? And is President Trump sticking to that line of tradition?
So normally the pardon is supposed to be a constitutional safeguard for injustices, to rectify injustices in the criminal justice system. Now, in the past, there have been some dubious pardons. Every presidency has had some pardon that they have done that has faced criticism. But if we were to compare Trump's pardons to Obama pardoned about 1,700 people, most of which were serving long-term sentences for nonviolent crimes. And in some cases, a third of those cases, they were facing life imprisonment for nonviolent crimes. So the point of the pardon system is to try to rectify these injustices. But what we're seeing with Trump, he's been trying to pardon those that will benefit him, those that are loyal to him, those that are connected to him. I mean, there were some really dubious pardons with the civilians that were working for Blackwater that killed Iraqi citizens in the Nisour Square incident. So he's really used this pardon power in a way that has shown that he's really abused it more so than really any other president.